life balance. I see a number of you are in the session. And feel free to turn on your cameras if you like. Love to see who's there. I'm sure I know some of you. I know some of you, but for those of you who don't know me, I have been quite active in WiMAC in the past. I was involved in WiMAC when it was just a thought. We were thinking about how it should be structured and was involved in all of the discussions in relation to that. And so just to get, I'm really actually happy that I have Tamara, the president of WiMAC, in my session.
Yes.
As well. I'm really, really pleased about that. And so I have actually quite a bit to say and to chat with you. Feel free to stop me, talk, ask questions. I'm hoping you'll be a little bit interactive. But
I'm hoping, Cherise, we can see people's face, because I feel like we just seen the names,
Yes.
Like in terms of a mentorship program, I feel like we need to, we need to see who we're talking to.
They're shy. They're shy. They probably have Zoom fatigue as well. Anyway, I actually have a presentation, and I'm gonna share my screen with you. And just to make sure that that you can see what I'm doing. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing women in maritime. Yeah.
You're just seeing the presentation, right? You're not seeing the slides or the notes or anything.
No, I'm just seeing the white page. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so let's go. It's a big topic, and it's one that we all think about a lot, right? We all sit down at some point in our careers and wonder if this is all worth it, and if we got it right. And as women and as parents, we probably think about it even more, right? So the first question, I think we can kick it off with a question to you, and just to start to set the scene. What makes you happy? What makes you happy as a person? It's a simple question, but actually it's quite complex. I'm just trying to make sure I don't cover you up. Okay. Is it money? Is it watches? Is it handbags? Is it cars? Maybe shoes? Everyone has a different thing. Is it family? Is it friends? Is it success? But it's a very personal answer. What makes each of us tick is very, very personal. And you must never feel guilty about what makes you happy. So guess what? If it is this, nothing wrong with that. It's what makes you happy. And we probably will not all ever get everything in one package. And at different times of our lives, this may make us happy. But then there are different times of our lives where this makes us happy. And you must always think about it, and think about the place you are at in your life. And never feel guilty about it. I think that's the first thing. Don't feel guilty about what makes you happy. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells us that there are things that drive us as human beings. We have basic needs, we have physiological needs, we have needs of self-fulfillment. Our basic needs of food and water and sleep. We have basic needs of wanting financial security. We want friendship, and we want family, and we want intimacy. And then we want to start to feel good about ourselves. We want to make sure that as individuals, we're fulfilling our dreams. And you know what? Never be afraid to dream, ever. I was born in Trinidad and Tobago. I went to an all-girls school, primary school, and I went to convent as my secondary school. And growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, would I have ever thought that this is where my life would end up? Probably not. No, I probably thought I would go to university there and find a little job in, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I probably thought I'd be carrying books around and going to court every day, and just like the lawyers I saw. But from a very young age, I felt like I wanted to travel. I wanted to experience the world. And people discouraged me. What are you doing? Where are you going? No, you need to just stay close here. My parents were quite protective. They didn't want me to go. I was one of those kids who was allowed to go away to university. They wanted me to stay and go to university in Trinidad. I got into law school initially in the UK. My parents said no, I couldn't go. I wanted to be an engineer at one point in my life. They said girls are not engineers. And so I've always had big dreams for myself. And you know what, guys? It's okay to dream big. It's okay. It's not, you'd be surprised what you can achieve if you dream big. A lot of you would have been embarrassed to say that money makes you happy, right? You probably wouldn't even admit it. Does money make you happy? I tell you this, it sure does help. It helps. When you can pay your bills and you have a little bit extra to spend on things that you may want and not need, it does help. Is it the most important thing? No, but money does give us a sense of comfort and stability. And just going back to our friend, Mr. Maslow, it is one of the basic needs. It's a basic human need, that need for financial security. It is actually it's actually he's listed it as a basic need, not a self-fulfillment need. And so again, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad to say money makes you happy. The stability that money gives you makes you happy. It's important. And you have to look at it from that perspective, I think. Stop me, okay? Stop me and talk to me. But, how much is enough? I think is the real question. When you start to look at that, how much of anything is enough? And only you can answer that for yourself. And I'll encourage you to think about it really carefully. I also encourage you to think about whether or not more work equals more income, and by extension, brings you happiness. As you will have seen from our friend Maslow, as humans, we need so much more. But so often we get caught up in the societal pressures. We get pressured into what actually is the symbol of happiness and success. I get pressured into buying a $100,000 car. I could have bought a $25,000 car, no problem. It would have got me right where I needed to get to in a very efficient way, and I'm sure it'll be very safe. But guess what? Society pressures me into the feeling that I need to drive a $100,000 car, because if I don't show these symbols of success, I'm not successful. Society pressures me into buying a $3,000 purse. I have a joke. I swear I'll never buy a Louis Vuitton purse. I have a conscientious objection to it, and I don't feel bad if you have one. I'm sure everybody else on this call has one other than me. It's just that I have always felt that, there's pressure on us to carry these symbols of success, and I've always tried to buck that trend. I'm not going to carry any symbols of success. Yeah, I give in to the stereotypes here and there. I want to wear a nice watch. I live in the Cayman Islands. Wearing a Rolex watch is like wearing a badge. It tells you how successful you are. But if you get caught up in that, however, you will quickly find out that no amount of money is ever enough to bring you peace of mind and happiness. You'll always want a bigger boat and you'll always want a nicer car. And, you know, to make it worse, as a Black woman, choosing to leave a country where I would have fitted right in, I wouldn't have stuck up. I live in a society and I operate in a society and a profession that is predominantly English white male. And so the pressure to demonstrate success is even more for me. And so, yeah, I give into some of those stereotypes. I don't drive a 1982 Nissan because I need to be able to demonstrate that I am successful. And so again, yeah, I buck some of it, but I do give into some of the stereotypes. And with everything, I think that it's all about moderation. You know, it's all about moderation. But going back to how much is enough and the question about how much is enough. Have you ever noticed that some of the most gorgeous people or some of the most wealthiest people are just so unhappy? It's because they give in to their insecurities. It's because they're so insecure. I joke with my associate. I share an office with a young fellow. He hangs out with some beautiful women. And I always joke with him and say, man, if I look like them, you know, people can talk to me, you know, because I don't give in to my insecurities. Of course, I'm 50 years old and I'm probably a little overweight. You know, I probably didn't get to where I wanted to get to in my life, and I didn't do all the things I wanted to do yet. But confidence and not giving in to your insecurities is so important. I have a friend who's actually quite senior in the profession, in the judicial profession. And we talk about insecurities a lot because as a judge, she's not allowed to let her insecurities show, you know, and as a woman, it's seen as a weakness, right? And so it's important, again, to keep your insecurities in check. Know who you're showing them to. I may show it to Tamara because Tamara is my friend. I may call up Tamara and cry when I need to have a good cry. But when I need to get up in front of my peers, that's not the time for me to show my insecurities. That's the time for me to show my confidence. I'm not saying I'm not insecure. I'm just saying choose your time. And so much of it is about balance and managing expectations, managing your own expectations. Have you ever seen some of those UNAID videos where they're distributing food in Africa? Some of those people are so happy to get a bag of rice or some flour, you know, you'd think it was Christmas. And juxtapose that against the person who sits in a fancy restaurant and sends back their meal. It's all about expectations and setting reasonable expectations for yourself and what makes you happy. Are you going to be happy with what you have and what you can produce for yourself? Are you going to aspire to more? And will it ever be enough for you? If your expectations are too material, nothing will ever be enough for you. And you'll end up according to Stephen Bartlett, on a hedonistic treadmill of unsatisfied wants. Because nothing will ever be enough for you. So then we start to talk about the balance. How do we get this balance? Throw around this word, work-life balance. Is there such a thing as work-life balance in the world of success? Everybody, we're all men and women, we all are balancing family and health and business and work and friends and your career and everything. But is there really the hope of success in the world? Is there the hope of balance in the world of success? And then let's juxtapose a woman's situation into that. She then has to also balance the groceries and the laundry and the children and her husband's needs, added on to everything else that everyone else is dealing with. And so you start to wonder, actually, how are you going to do this? How am I going to do this? You know, I talk to so many of my friends who in our quiet moments say, gosh, I always feel guilty. I'm either feeling guilty up to my work, or I'm feeling guilty to my children, or I feel guilty about my husband because I don't have enough time for him. I spend my entire life feeling guilty about something. I didn't spend enough time on that presentation. I didn't spend enough time with my husband last weekend. There is always something to feel guilty about. And managing all of that is hard. You know, there are studies that have been done that show the balance between men and women's contribution to the household responsibilities and childcare. This particular statistic is put out by the National Parenting Association. And if you look at it, a woman's contribution in the home and to childcare is probably 4 or 5 times more than her male counterpart. Nothing wrong with that. And it's even worse probably in the Caribbean, because I mean, I grew up in a house where my brother didn't pick up his plate. You know, he didn't do anything. You know, when the girls were protesting that we had to do chores, my mother said, he's a boy, he doesn't have to do anything. You know, and so that's the stereotype that we are taught in the Caribbean, that we have to serve our men. You know, even now, I still dish out my husband's food. As successful as I am, he'll sit on that table and he'll wait for me, and he'll wait for me to pick it up too. You know, nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with us contributing to our homes. It gives me a real sense of pride. You know, we look at these statistics and some people take it as a tool to beat their husbands on the head, or beat their partners on the head with this. It's our society. We've been taught this. Could it be rebalanced a little bit? Yeah. But guess what? You know what? If you really think about it, we really enjoy this, you know. We enjoy that maternal role that we play in our families. We enjoy it. Yes, we could probably ask for some help. But don't beat yourself on the head, and don't beat your spouse on the head for this. Now, as women, can we have it all? That's the real question. Or are we doomed to fail? Will we forever be doomed to feel guilty about, you know, our kids' sports days that we missed because we had clients in town, or the Christmas play that we missed because we had a report due? That's really up to you and your confidence levels. Your confidence will come from accomplishments. And you need to start to actually celebrate your own accomplishments. No matter how small they are, celebrate every single one of them. And you'll start to see that your own confidence levels will build. Because the more you beat yourself down, the less effective you are in every single role in your life. COVID. If I had said to you in 2018, we'd been working from home, probably tell me I'd lost my mind, right? And just when we thought we had seen it all, enter the pandemic and the new concept of working from home. And, you know, most people had this scenario, you know, with children working from home. Well, maybe who am I kidding? This is probably what it really looks like. Very few people actually look like this. This is probably what it really looked like. I mean, I joked with my husband about having Zoom clothes. We had Zoom clothes. I had a Zoom jacket hanging behind my chair at home, you know, but UN Women they've gathered some fascinating data about how much time women have spent over the pandemic at home doing childcare, doing domestic work. And yes, we've spent probably about 3 times as many hours doing unpaid domestic work and care as the men in our homes. Pre-pandemic, the pandemic has made that even worse. According to the UN Women's research, women are still doing the majority of work at home. And the statistics show that women are by far the larger group leaving the workforce. And that's because probably of increased workloads at home. You just can't find childcare. For 3 years, we haven't been able to send our kids to school or get a nanny to come in if you can afford it. The result is that there's a huge risk that women and girls are being left behind. So what does work-life balance mean to me? Right? Work creeps into when I told some of my colleagues I was doing this, this seminar, they laughed because the question was, why would anyone think that you could talk about this? Why would anybody think you could talk about this topic? You probably have the worst work-life balance of anyone. But see, go back to the first statement I made. It's personal to you. Work creeps into our personal lives. I'm just gonna check I do this all the time on a Friday night. I go into the bathroom. If I'm out with my friends, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and check my emails quickly. I hide and do it because they give me a hard time. But and what happens is, because we let our work creep into our personal lives, we constantly feel tired. I can tell you this, if you call me up and say, how are you doing? I'm gonna tell you I feel tired. I went to the supermarket yesterday afternoon. The cashier said to me, long day, eh? And I thought to myself, Jesus, oh, do I look that rough? Because I couldn't believe that she was commenting on how tired I looked. And I think some of it is because we have an always on culture. I used to, and I probably still do, tell my clients, call me anytime, day or night. You just call me. And my phone will ring. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. When Russia invaded Ukraine, a lot of the work that I do has to do with yachts. And my phone was ringing 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, every single night. Is it a good thing? Do I feel the effects of that now? Absolutely. I feel tired. I feel tired all the time. I don't sleep at night. And I feel like I've missed so much in my life. My son got married in Tuscany about 4 years ago. We're in Italy, Rome. We spent a few days in Rome and then we go up to Tuscany, beautiful. I saw none of it. Everyone else went sightseeing and I sat in the hotel and worked because I had a large closing going on. And so I never saw Rome. I didn't even go out to eat with them at nights. And you know, looking back now, I so regret missing some of the big moments of my life and my family's life because I was at work. And they've accepted it and they've been very accepting of that. But I look back now and I think, gosh, I wish I had drawn a boundary. I wish I had just passed it on and delegated it to someone else. Because you know what? There are lots of competent people around me. I just don't trust none of that. And we need to start trusting the people around us. We need to start hiring people that we can trust, people who we feel comfortable delegating to. Because if we don't, we will always miss those big moments in our lives. We'll always be only half there. We may be physically there, but we'll always be distracted with work. You know, I spent a long, long time feeling so guilty about not working. When I started off as a young associate, I had keys to the office. I used to lock the office up every night. And I did that for many years. If somebody needed something late in the night, they knew they can call me because I was there. I used to have this concept that any time that I was not working was wasted time. Yeah. As a result, I didn't pay any attention to things like hobbies, and my family's interests always came second. As I get older, I do wonder, and I think you will wonder, are those the right choices? Did I make the right choices? I don't know. I'm just lucky that my husband is very patient. And I think some of that is just he doesn't have the time or the energy to bother with me, but I'm lucky because I think a different man would have left me a long time. Because I never have the time, I'm always busy. I'm either busy or I'm tired. And if he goes to bed at 9 o'clock in the night, I go to bed 3 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock, that's prime work time. You know, and so be conscious of that, because zero boundaries means that there is such a blur between your work and your personal life. It was bad for me pre-COVID. It's even worse now. That computer always on. I walk in and I turn my computer on in the night. That's the first thing I do when I walk in the house. I just left the office. Boundaries. Boundaries is important. But you see, it really means it is work-life balance is whatever it means to you. It's different for me. My circumstances are different. You need to think about what your circumstances are and be honest about it and realistic about it. I'm honest with you. I'm telling you, I don't have no boundaries. I'm telling you, we have no boundaries. But be honest about it, you know? I joke with my husband. Most days, we wake up in the morning with my work phone snuggled warmly between us. Because at some point in the night, I actually picked it up and looked at it and answered emails. And so it's important that we talk about boundaries and we are honest about them. Tell your employer what you need. You will never have this opportunity again. Believe me, if I told you you'd have this opportunity in 2018, you wouldn't have believed me. We're at the point in life where employers are actually feeling pressure to listen to what we need. And they are also conscious of the work-life balance. COVID forced that on society. Tell them what you need. Don't just run out. Tell them you need to go pick up your children at 3 o'clock. Don't just ease out thinking nobody's going to see. Now, are there disadvantages of working from home and trying to find this work-life balance? You know, absolutely. There are disadvantages. I see it to young people. I've been around for a bit. I've had the opportunity to see how things are done and learn a little bit. But as a young person, convincing them that coming and interacting with me here in the office is valuable is real hard. So there are disadvantages. You lose out on training opportunities. Because some people have this misconception, you know, that work-life balance means working from home. Work-life balance does not mean working from home. Work-life balance is finding what makes you happy and finding the balance between your job your success, and those things that make you happy. It does not mean working from home. It doesn't automatically mean that. Trying to convince young people that coming in here and learning from us and interacting with us and spontaneous learning opportunities or conversation is going to benefit them is a real challenge. And we do have to manage expectations. As individuals, we have to manage our expectations, we have to manage our family's expectations, and we have to manage our employers' expectations. Have you ever heard of Parkinson's law? I am totally guilty of this. If you give me something to do, I could probably do it in 10 minutes, but work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So if I have the whole day, I will sit with that and sit with that and sit with that and sit with that and waste the damn time. If I'm busy, man, I'll get that done for you in 10 minutes, no problem. And so we have to be conscious of this. This contributes to the balance. Do it. Do the hardest thing first. I've had such a challenge with that because my nature is to push the tough things to the end because I don't really want to have to deal with them and hope they go away. I hope that those difficult clients go away. The people with the tough questions, I really hope they stop asking me those questions and I can just do some really easy stuff quick. But I've learned as I've gotten older, if I get those difficult things done, I feel a sense of accomplishment. And remember, I told you earlier that accomplishments gives you confidence. That's what I mean. If you leave the big difficult things for the end, it kind of always weighs over your head as a dark cloud for the entire day. Because in the back of your mind, you know you have to go and deal with that man. You never, no matter what else you do in the day, you don't feel a sense of accomplishment because you constantly have it in the back of your mind that you have this difficult thing to deal with. So I've started to deal with the tough things first because I feel a sense of accomplishment and it helps me to get through the rest of the day. But you see this one, I'm really struggling with it. Work expands to fill the time available for completion. That's tough. And you know what? This is what I have always been guilty of. I used to look down on people. You going home at 6 o'clock, you're working half day. I've told people that. I look around the office and I feel proud. Oh, the only one here is 9 p.m. Guess what? Nobody cares. No one cares other than you. Boundaries. We need to stop glamorizing overworking. The absence of sleep, a good diet, exercise, relaxation, and time with your family and friends is not something to be applauded. It is something to be looked down on. It means you have not accomplished a balance in your life. For too long, we have worn this as a badge of honor. Oh my God, lawyers are totally guilty of this. 7 o'clock and they're gone home. Didn't put 7 hours billable on your clock. And we make these comments about ourselves and we create these false requirements and obligations. This stuff needs to change, but only you can change it. I'm not saying to stop being ambitious. I'm just saying understand boundaries. And I'll come to talk about ambition in a bit. See, I am a dinosaur. When the government had lifted all the regulations in 2021, in July, I was one of those people saying, bring everybody back immediately. Bring them back. They need to come back to the office right now. I'm a dinosaur. I needed to come to terms with the fact that the people that I work with are a different generation and a different mindset. You have to understand your environment. If I had imposed that on my colleagues, they would have all left. It's because as a dinosaur, I didn't actually understand what their needs were. And remember now, I'm Miss Workaholic. I don't have no boundaries. What do you mean you want to stay home? Come in here. And so it really is important for us to be open-minded as well about and realistic. Understand your environment, understand who you work with. Not everyone is like you. And maybe your way is not the right way. I can tell you this, mine is not. But there's a great opportunity, I think, for us. COVID has offered us the opportunity to reset the way that we work and the way that we live. It's forced it. It's forced employers to acknowledge it. We have an opportunity to reset our culture, to give ourselves a culture that respects our time. And I joke with my friends about fear of missing out. Fear of missing out of emails from my clients. What nonsense is that? Anyway, what does work-life balance mean to me? Well, we need to attribute value to the things that we do, even when we're not working, because that's valuable time, and probably the most valuable time that we will spend. The elephant in the room, social media. Stop spending so much time on it. It's taking away your valuable time. Look at how much time you're spending on TikTok. 38 minutes. The average adult spends 38 minutes on TikTok, 35 minutes on Twitter, 31 minutes on Snapchat, 30 minutes on Instagram. Stop wasting your time. I'm not telling you to stop the social media. I'm just telling you, be conscious of it. It is wasting your time. Set limits, just like how your parents set limits for kids. Set limits for yourself. It is wasting your time. I track this. Sometimes I spend 6 hours on the weekend on social media. Jesus. You know what I could be doing with that 6 hours? But TikTok is the devil because I can't stop looking at the videos because they just keep coming. You have to set boundaries. So here's a few things to try. Set your expectations. Be honest about what makes you happy. Seek out simplicity. But simplicity does not mean a lack of ambition. Strive towards a goal. Goals are very important. Set them. Finding a work-life balance does not mean that you must stop being ambitious. You must continue to celebrate your accomplishments. You must rest. Plan to take your weekends and vacations. Again, I have a joke up in here. I'll come into the office on my vacation and my secretary would say, "You're supposed to be on vacation today." I feel proud when I can say, "Well, really? I didn't even know that." That's stupid. That's just plain stupid. Create boundaries. Set team goals for your personal time. Your whole team, not just you, the people you work with, so that you all have similar goals. And guess what? What works for you may be different from you, but at least we all work into goals, towards goals. We all understand that each other we have different things, but we're working towards it. Attribute value to things you do when you're not working. Those things are also important. Find a hobby. I don't care what it is. Play chess, ride a horse. I don't care. Find a hobby. Negotiate for more time, even if it's with your family. Sometimes you need time for yourself. Just breathe for yourself. Not just because work-life balance does not mean taking time from work and giving it to your family. Find time for yourself too. Add yourself into that equation. It's important. Reframe and reclaim rest. Demand that others respect your approach to time. Don't be late. That's what that means. It is not easy, and self-development is really, really hard work, and you have to have a drive. Again, work-life balance does not mean stop being driven. It means work hard when you're working and play hard when you play. And most of all, believe in yourself. Beliefs are evidence-based. You need evidence to believe in yourself. Just telling yourself, I can do this, is not going to make you believe in yourself. You have to start doing things. If you don't start accomplishing things, you'll never believe that you can do this. Because just saying it and repeating it over and over, you will never believe it. You actually have to do it. You know, all of these, I listen to all of these these podcasts and stuff that talk about, you know, get up in the morning and say, I can do this. But guess what? You don't believe it. Until you see it, you don't believe. Belief is evidence-based. You want to be able to see the accomplishment. Delegate. Find somebody and trust them. When you have subordinates, train them well and trust that they can do it. Delegate to them. All right, I'm going to stop there. I've spoken for 40 minutes. I'll ask you if you have any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can. All right. Questions? Tamara, I see you want to ask a question.
Well, I want to say this is like, it's so refreshing because a lot of what you speak about, I go through, and I've had to realize, like, setting boundaries, delegating, negotiating my time. So all of these, but like you say, I'm also a dinosaur. And especially being around or women in the maritime industry, you tend to understand that a lot of them are not dinosaurs, you know, like they feel like, okay, well, I'm not doing this and it's above my pay grade. And you understand too that if they don't do certain things, then they don't get the recognition to move forward. So
Yes.
there's a little disconnect there. So my question to you is, you've come so far in the industry. What was your thing, your routine? Because I imagine you had to go through like mental and a mental groove process to understand these things. So what was that like?
I've always accepted that I've had to work harder as a woman in this industry. But nothing wrong with that. Hard work never kill anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you get over that and you just do what you need to do and work hard, you'll be okay now. You actually start to see the success. Nobody needs me repeating that to them constantly every time I turn around. Certainly my male colleagues don't need it. As a matter of fact, they start to resent it. The sooner that you can accept that, because we hear that all the time. As a woman, you need to work twice as hard as your male counterparts. The sooner you can accept that and work hard. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's not unfair. I'm just saying you have to, if in order to move forward, you have to accept it quickly and move on. Don't get bogged down with some of the narrative. Just work hard. If you, with dependence comes authority. People they've come to depend on me, even my male counterparts. They know that if I say I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up.
Yeah,
If
sure.
they need me to do something, I'll be there. That reliance brings a level of authority that even they don't actually always understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I learned that very, very early in my career. If you can rely on me, you will entrust me with authority. And I think it's getting over some of those stereotypes, you know. Yes, I know I have to work hard. Do I resent it sometimes? Absolutely. Do I have to speak about it? I pick my moments. I don't pretend they don't exist. I pick the moments that I have to talk about them, and I do say it, but you have to say it in a constructive way too, because employers are not always willing to accept the criticism, because every employer thinks they're doing as much as they can for women in the industry. So they don't want to hear the criticism. How you say it is really important, because you can say it in a constructive way that they try to actually make it better. But if you say it in a way that is not constructive, it actually works against you.
Okay. Let's see, anybody else has any questions? Don't be shy. Nobody has any questions?
I'm actually seeing the faces, so I don't know.
I know. But in terms of mental health, Sharice, I mean, I've gone through my
Good
moments and I
question.
don't, yes, I don't pretend that this is not real. I go through really low moments, really low. And I got to the point where I looked around and friends were falling off like flies, literally, in terms of mental health and the responsibility. But I grew to understand, okay, you have to have a process. So I meditate every morning, I exercise. I wake up at 5 o'clock and I exercise because I understand what it does for my mind. You know, so I want these young ladies to understand too, you know, that part of it. Because sometimes we ignore it and
Yeah.
they're going through it on their own and they don't know that it's something that they should speak about, read about, you know. But it is part of the process. It's just how
Yeah,
you deal with it. Yeah.
absolutely. The question of mental health is so significant, because, and I think COVID has even exacerbated that even
Mhm.
more. And we look at people, like I would look at you and go, "My God, you're so well put together, look fantastic."
Ah,
Nothing ruffles you, and we make assumptions about people. You know, you don't understand always what people are struggling with, and you never know if you reach out when you are struggling. You never know where the connection could be. There
exactly.
are people to reach out to. Uh, and find that network, and I agree with you, there are things that you have